Hello Internet, I'm Dan.
And I'm Chaz. This is the Wine is Serious Business Show, episode 121. Got some Riesling tonight.
Yes.
Excited.
Stuff from the Mosel. These are all places that I tasted at while I was over there this summer. One of my favorite regions. We were just talking how Chaz is really coming around to love the Riesling too.
I'm in love with it. It's the best white wine in the world.
Yeah,
you really
totally.
can't fight it.
And it's been trouble for both of us. Like the more we love it, the harder it is to like branch out and try new stuff. So I have to make a point of like, go out and try some of these other wines because it's good for providing perspective. You can find good stuff that's interesting, and while you got your favorites, like interesting wines are super satisfying too.
Right. The thing about the German Rieslings though is that how remarkable they are at the price point. I mean, you can get great white Burgundy all day long, but finding that really special bottle at less than $30 is difficult. Yep. You can get amazing Riesling, single vineyard Riesling from amazing producers for $20 a bottle, $25 a bottle, and that's part of why I love it. And then you don't even have to worry about when to drink it. You just like drink it now, drink it 10 years from now. If I find it in a dresser 40 years from now, I can still drink it.
Probably still all right, yeah. And it's approachable by a lot of people too, right? Yeah. Almost anybody, especially a little bit of sugar in it that it appeals to the American palate in a lot of ways. Yeah. But there's good fresh fruit flavors, low alcohol. They're approachable. They're delicious.
Great with food.
So, getting into the first wine here. This is from Weingut. Herbert Pazen. This is going to be a horrible mix of like English pronunciation of German words. I know some folks in Germany are going to watch this, and I'm really sorry. But yeah, so Herbert Pazen. So this is the winemaker now is Reinhold Pazen. It's a family winery, small winery done in the basement as a part-time project, which of course Chaz and I have a ton of respect for. That's Absolutely. How we do this blog. But he
living the dream.
He works full time and does this because he loves it. It's imported by Ewald, who was on one of the shows earlier. Always comes into the States. One of the most affordable German Rieslings on the market. It's like between $10 and $15 variations
awesome.
for it. You can look for this blue around the top, and Herbert Pazen again. I'm not sure if this specific bottling, this is the 2009 Spatlese from the Zeltinger Himmelreich vineyard. I'm not sure if this specific bottle is going to make it over, but it's one that I liked, brought some back for myself. So.
But yeah, I've seen this label multiple times on the market, and yeah, the price is always really affordable in the $10 to $15 price range. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Super nice people, right? So it's not often that you can get wine at $10 where you're supporting a small family winemaker. Either normally stuff at that point is like huge industrial wine, big, just huge factory stuff like that. Like these are, it's family, loves what he's doing.
Pretty cool.
Getting real like lemon lime coming off of this. That reminds you of all kinds of things, from like kind of like some lemon lime flavored sodas, maybe some drinks. Just kind of like a bright fruity character to it. Maybe a little bit of a floral element too.
I mean, there's an obvious red apple component going on in it too. That's fresh apple, and that's really delicious. But past those few flavors, not a whole lot going on. I mean, just
pretty straight to the point,
but very fresh and delicious smelling.
Delivering the stuff that I like about German Riesling. A little bit of sweetness comes in right away, but there's some delicacy to it, good mouthfeel, and the acidity settles in on the front end and quickly spreads itself out towards the back of the palate.
You probably saw me smack right off the bat. I'll try not to do that throughout this show, but man, the acidity just grabs a hold real quick. I like that about it. I mean, there's good flavor, enough good flavor there right off the bat, and acidity is really, really fresh and very refreshing. Yeah.
The red apples he was talking about I'm getting, and especially like some red apple peel towards the finish, and a little bit of like just barely ripe peach. It's not like the thick, syrupy, juicy peach. It's just ripe enough to bite into.
Yeah, I was like, there's something else there, and it's like peachy. It's got a little bit of peach on the end of that apple. It's really nice. And just a little bit of fruit interplay there. Not a whole lot of complexity. I drank a bottle of this recently while I was hanging out with about 8 different people, talking a lot, just kind of casual drinking. At this price point, with these flavors, it totally fits the bill. Everybody enjoyed it. It's great. Shorter finish on the fruit. Acidity hangs for a good amount of time, though. A little bit of citrus action to it, but really nice, very clean and easy to drink.
It's gonna make it 88 minus for me. Feeling it, enjoyable, and fantastic at the price point. Especially, if you're watching the show not too familiar with German wine, this is a great way to check it out. and get a taste of what it has to offer. It's a great starting point.
Absolutely. I would hope for a little more intensity out of the palate, but what it's got going on is absolutely delicious. Struggle because I want to say 87 points, but it's really an 8-point wine. And at the price point, fantastic. So thanks for bringing us back.
Yeah, totally.
At the price point, killer. And if you see them, you should check them out.
Yeah, and great folks too. So good people to support.
Getting a little more serious with this one.
Yep. This is the Christoffel Jr. Spatlese from Urziger Wurzgarten in the 2010 vintage. So I was talking to Chaz a little bit earlier. 2010 is kind of known for having some kind of crazy weather where there was a lot of acidity and a lot of ripeness. And some reading I was doing kind of brought some perspective to that. Like it was cooler, so that preserved the acidity, but you got this ripeness and concentration from there being a lot of wind at the end. So it dehydrated the grapes a little bit and concentrated the juice, which was kind of interesting. Apparently there's like lower volumes too. It's a little bit less of it on the market. So if you find you like it, pick some up. It seems like, one way or another arguments lead to that with wine all the time. So
pour a little more than
check it out.
Taster, but
it's good sipping. You may remember like the 1992 Urziger Wurzgarten Spatlese is one of my favorite wines of all time. Really respect this producer. I got really lucky when I was out there to taste this summer. I was there a couple days after Schildknecht from the Wine Advocate was out there, so there were tons of wines that were already open. And Kayo Christoffel is the winemaker of this estate now. Total gentleman. He's been making wine there for decades. They hold wines, don't release some of them until they believe they've aged appropriately. So you can find stuff from the 90s on the market now. Some of them are just fantastic. Got a range of vineyards. One of these estates that's been around for a long time. Another person that I feel really good about supporting. Classic and just super high quality producer.
I think it's pretty cool that they hold wines back from the 90s and then release them to the market later. I mean, I know the first time that I ever saw this wine or a wine from this producer, it was from the 90s. And I was like, well, who's had this wine for the last 20 years? But no, they keep it. The provenance is perfect, and you get to taste it exactly like they want you to taste it. And that's really respectable.
Yeah, and just a cool project that they stick with that, right? Definitely a lot more complexity on the nose. You get a little bit of that mustiness that's really characteristic of a lot of German Rieslings, and I think this probably is one of the slate characteristics. And a lot of times when people are new to it, you hear this panic, like, "Oh, is something wrong here? Something off?" Like, no, it's just fine. Just give yourself some time with the wine. Let it open up a little bit.
It's not botrytis, but it's just it's just musty. It's like not moldy, but it's almost there.
Yeah, it's kind of like where the Oregon Funk is like the wood on the forest floor. Like this is like stony dirt, right?
Yeah. Oh man, it really is actually. Now you put that in my brain. That smells awesome.
A little bit of honey, a little bit of
a little bit of floral component to it. I mean, it's got a little bit of everything.
A little zippy grapefruit in the background.
Fresh apples.
Yeah, great complexity on the nose.
A bit of orange. Gosh. Yeah, awesome nose.
And just delivering what I love on the palate as far as Mosel acidity goes. I talk about the texture of acidity in other wines a lot. It's like bright and crystalline and friendly, and it grips up but gently. It's not like really pulling your face back. It's just kind of making you smile a little bit. Good Riesling makes you smile. Flavors just sit. The flavors don't really start to settle into the palate until after you've swallowed the wine. Then there's this incredible evolution going on.
Absolutely. Sort of speechless. I mean, there's a lot of intensity of flavor right off the bat, right? There's no doubt there. Like a sort of like a orange citrus thing, bright apples, but then like he was talking about the acidity. It's like there's something. It's weird the way that it comes across the tongue. Very gentle and delicious, just absolutely delicious. You can sit here and taste it for it's got easily a 20 second long finish, right? Easily.
I'm getting like yellow apples, Probably some maybe like mandarin oranges, kind of mixed in with that acidity there. A little bit of honey, but again, not like the really thick, juicy honey like you get off of some late harvest wines, or even dessert style Rieslings from Germany. It doesn't have that thick texture to it. Just a little bit of that like floral honey flavor.
The more I sip it, the stronger the acidity is sort of lasting, and maybe it's just overlapping sort of on the taste. But other than sort of what I would classify just for my palate, a little bit higher acidity than I want, everything about this wine is fantastic. This is just awesome. 92 points. 93 points.
Nice.
It's delicious. It's really good.
Yeah, and it delivers on that like contemplative quality of wine that the good stuff really gets into too, where like every sip you're kind of thinking about what's going on in your mouth. Like, this is kind of cool. Like, oh, maybe it's like this, or maybe it's a little more like this, and I can guarantee you, right, as we sip through this bottle, it kind of changes too as it opens up more. There's just a lot of complexity. So this is just like good vineyards, a very experienced hand, you know, working the vines, great storage. It's delicious stuff. I'm going to do 92 points on it myself, and this is in the Portland market right now. It's about $30 a bottle or something like that, maybe just under. And I was actually emailing the distributor recently to see if they had it, so it's still available. So
Killer
I really
stuff.
encourage you to check it out. It'll age forever too.
It will age forever, yeah.
Awesome. On to wine number 3. More
effing delicious.
More fantastic people. This is the Weingut Ackerman 2010 Zeltinger Schlossberg Spatlese. Another family operation. Met with Harald and Anne while I was over in Germany. Just wonderful people, and they're going to be in Portland next month. So if you're in the local market, seriously, go hit one of their tastings in town. They're awesome. And yeah, family estate Zeltinger Schlossberg is a kind of a notable vineyard because as I was learning about German vineyards, the Veltliner Sonnenor was the first one that really jumped out at me as a memorable vineyard. And then I get attached to both words. I don't know what any of them mean, but I see that Sonnenor pops up associated with a lot of these other villages, so I got attached to Zeltinger Sonnenor. But Zeltinger Schlossberg, as I've been exploring it more, is really more of my favorite of the two, and I think Zeltinger Schlossberg is to me like in probably the top 5 vineyards, you know, Riesling vineyards in the world. Like I love it.
What about it is the bomb? It's just the consistency of the wines from that vineyard are amazing. Or
so this is a great opportunity. We're going to cut to the Ackermans right now, telling us a little bit about that.
Hello.
Hello.
We're standing here in part of the Zeltinger Schlossberg vineyard, which is a favorite of mine. Harald makes some of the best wine from this vineyard that I'm really fond of. I'm sure we'll have a review for it in a show soon. That may be when you're seeing this. But I thought that we'd ask them on to talk a little bit about the history of this area. How long has this vineyard been in your family?
This vineyard is 50, 60 years in our family. My father planted new for 30 years together with our family. Mm-hmm. We are a little family Weingut and do all the work with yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you and Harald, and I've been here for a couple days, and I've seen out, you know, you work in the vineyards, you work in the cellar, and you have guests to sell the wine constantly. And I know there are a lot of small winemakers in Oregon that are doing the same thing. This part of Zeltinger Schlossberg is very special, and before 1971, right, was that when it changed? It used to be called Steinmauer?
Yes.
Steinmauer, yes.
And what is special about Steinmauer in the rest of Zeltinger Schlossberg?
The Steinmauer is on the south side, and we have very mineral ground, and it's very good for the Riesling, and the river is behind, and
yeah,
I don't know the name.
That's good temperature control here,
yes.
Good ripening conditions, and that's very important because this part of the Mosel is so far north that only the very good plots get the best fruit, right? The grapes get very ripe, and you get that good balance between sugar and acidity that can make Riesling so delicious. So now you've heard what they've had to say, and it's just great, kind of that exposure to the river, right? The way it's facing, it gets just the right amount of sun, and you know, and then this how steep the slopes are. It all kind of plays together just right, I guess. And I don't know, you know, the growing conditions or how the grapes respond well enough. I just know that a number of Zeltinger Schlossberg wines that I've tried have really made an impression on me. I like the zippy acidity that they seem to bring. And this is a bigger wine across the board
Right.
than the previous two. It's really just kind of like jumping out of the glass with some force.
The mustiness on this one turns to full-on mold to get a little bit of botrytis out of it, right? I mean,
yeah, I'm getting like a little bit of that character, and
Yeah.
I want to say that, like, no, there's no botrytis on these grapes. It's Spatlese, and I'm guessing there isn't, but I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not sure. Anna, maybe you're watching this, and you can put a comment to set us straight. But it definitely does have like that touch of richness, and again, like that kind of little musty character along with the sweetness and the
it's sort of that mustiness that I attribute or you get from like a Sauterne or even
Yeah.
like a TBA or something. I like it. I like that aroma.
Yeah,
I like
me
it
too.
a lot. Yeah, it's like a dried mushroom or something like that. It's cool.
And the acidity is coming right out on the nose here too.
Yeah, but like rich fruit in here. This is definitely like a little more on the richer style nose.
A
Yeah.
little bit of apricot maybe.
Yes. Maybe like dried orange instead of like fresh orange.
Big and juicy on the palate. Starting out with kind of like some lime, some green apples right away, but getting a good hit of richness on the mid palate. The apples get kind of big, get juicy, you get a little touch of honey, and then the acidity blooms right behind it, kind of washing everything out towards the back, and the acidity is kind of leaving you with this drying sensation, making it, you know, really refreshing wine.
Yeah, this has another really fantastic evolution of flavor to acidity, and a long finish with the acidity. But this one sits with more fruit longer, I think, than the Christoffel wine. That said, it's like not as focused of a beam, right? Like this is a little richer, a little larger, and it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
I struggle with this style because I really like things about it, but I mean,
I think there's a little more complexity here, right?
There
I
is
think
there is more complexity.
The deliciousness is still going on.
Yeah.
And I get a great hit of minerality on the mid palate here that I wasn't seeing as much of in the previous ones, and I'm really digging that. But it definitely is a little more straightforward than the Christoffel. And we're doing it last because since it's a little bigger, both in regard to the fruit and the acidity, when we were tasting through them before, to do this first kind of washes out some more of the nuance that this shows.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. But yeah, like I said, I mean, a little more straightforward, like Dan said, I should say. A little more straightforward, but absolutely delicious. Again, 90 points for me.
Yep, and took it straight from me. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna go to 91. I am, because that mineral hit in the mid palate, I'm really digging, and I like how it's a little more of that crisp sensation on the back end. It kind of makes me want to keep reaching for another glass, and I enjoy that. Pulls me back into it. Doesn't quite have the contemplative nature of the Christoffel, but it's just totally delicious. And I think retails for around $20. So again, also very accessible, and boy, and at that point, pulling you back to glass after glass is kind of a good thing for everybody involved.
Pretty easy.
So great wines today.
Yeah, awesome show.
Been wanting to do this since last summer too, so happy to share them with you. I'll put links to as much of the winery's information as I can down below. I really encourage you to check them out. Look for them in the Portland market. They're awesome people to support. And for the question of the day, since this was the one region of the world that I wanted to go taste wine, if you could take a wine trip to any wine region in the world to taste the wine there for a week, where would you go?
I would probably go to Bordeaux, just because I've sunk too much money into it at this point, and it's like I gotta go see it. I have to.
Nice.
Right. That's why I want to go run a marathon there. So All right, see you guys next
There it
time.
is.
Yeah,
Cheers.
bye.